As much as we want to come down on Fresh and Fits and guys in the manosphere, there's women with huge platforms too that's talking really bad about black men.
Ruslan.
Fresh and Fit have been in hot water all week about some comments they made about black women. Check it out.
Just keeping it real, I don't really date black girls. Most black girls are like annoying, ratchet, and they don't know how to like be reserved.
I mean, hey bro, if you want to date a bunch of Shaniquas, go for it, man.
LaQuisha.
Yeah, me and Fresh aren't really down with the brown like that. Man. We ain't night riders. In general, me and Fresh don't dabble in the dark, if you know what I'm saying.
Now, the issue that most people took wasn't that they had preferences, quote unquote. It was the way they used caricatures and broad generalizations to describe an entire demographic of women that many found harmful. So I thought it'd be appropriate to have some of my friends who provided commentary on the red pill manosphere community and ask the question, what is the difference between what Kevin Samuels has been saying and what Fresh and Fit said in this video? Is there a difference? Check out their responses. I'm not saying this is like a virtue signal. My wife has 4 black sisters. My wife is black. If this isn't a caricature and an absolute ignorant broad generalization, I don't know what is. As black men, how do you guys process their critiques, both Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit? I understand they're different. I understand Kevin Samuels, I think, is genuinely trying to help, but how would you guys process those specific critiques that Kevin Samuels has made over the years, as well as Fresh and Fit?
I'm gonna echo what Joe Button said, but I'm gonna try to do it in a Christian way. They do not have experiences with black women. And I think that the negative interactions that they had with some black women has poisoned their characteristics on black women.
Fresh and Fit's statement about the Shaniqua took me back to that movie, The Birth of a Nation. It painted every black person post-slavery in one specific light, right? And it made people create generations of implicit bias against black people. And now you have Fresh and Fit saying, I don't do brown. You can date a Shaniqua if you want to. First off, I have a niece named Shaniqua. She's dope. The difference, though, with them and Kevin Samuels is Kevin Samuels understands that there's some black women who are great women. Yet, and still, there's some black women who can be a little what they call ratchet. So I think there's a difference there. So when he describes it, he's not describing all black women. He's describing a sector within a demographic, not the entire demographic. But even still, both can be, if you're not giving the context, it can be harmful to black women because to say that all black women behave that way.
There's a segment of the African-American community who, once they make it up a corporate ladder, a status ladder, they want to be closer to their Caucasian counterparts. So once they come closer to and they identify closer to their Caucasian counterparts, they start to emulate and want the same things that their Caucasian counterparts find valuable. Ruslan, don't get offended, but Kanye West is that type of guy, right? So if you ever notice Kanye West, when he starts talking about anything, he always brings up he name drops like a billion white guys that he's trying to be in the same tier as. The thing with Fresh and Fit and Kevin Samuels is, if you really pay attention to what they're saying, they're trying to identify themselves with their white male counterparts. So when they do that, they know that their white male counterparts, if they go for black women, they're going to go for the best of the best black women. It is self-hate. It is, because like I live in Atlanta, there's millions of nice, beautiful black women that, will love you and so forth and so on. But, I think the thing is like these guys, they're showing that there's so much of losers that they haven't really experienced that many healthy and strong relationships.
We talked about some real issues probably in the dating markets, certain dating markets, right? How do we approach this and how do we address some of this stuff from a Christ-centered worldview, hopefully empowering men and women to be the type of folks that God has called them to be?
The Christian response to this is to really first apply the fruit of the Spirit. That's one of the things I'll always go back to. Are you approaching these things with gentleness? Because let's say you have an opinion and it's meant to help. Are you approaching it with gentleness, with kindness? Are you seasoning your speech in a way that it's meant to edify the person who's hearing, or are you just trying to tear people down? And let's say for argument's sake, there's a sector of a demographic that could probably benefit from improving some of their behavior. We should be able to discuss the behavior be honest about how we feel about it in a way that's going to build up and not tear down. And also from a man's perspective, from a husband perspective, any man that could really take that kind of approach, and I'm gonna say it, it's probably going to be unpopular, probably isn't ready to be a husband or a good man to any woman anyway. You know, they probably not. So that's probably one of those blatant red flags that a lady can say, you know what, I'm out, I'm done. This is a huge bullet that I just dodged. What we want is to see men who are biblical and who are able to lead. And sometimes leading is addressing certain things in our community, whether it's with women, men, children, be able to address it in a means that's going to bring positive change, point people back to God, and make the community itself much better. The flip side to this, Ruslan, is this. There are also a lot of women out there that has a narrative that's a complete and extreme opposite to that. So it's like a constant pendulum swinging from one side to the next. And what we need is men of God, women of God, that's able to say, we're not trying to swing any pendulum. We're trying to bring balance so that we can complement one another, so that we can uplift one another, so that we can build up one another and not tear down.
I would go back to the classic verse, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. I think is that I've been reading a lot of books on male and female demographics and so forth and so on, how women think, what women want when they test a man. There's a part in there where stuck out to me where it says, you know, it's not about you. People go through things. We automatically think, okay, it's my problem. They're treating me this way because of X, Y, Z. We have like this victim mentality that's permeating through our generation. I don't believe God has ever wanted us to be victims, because I think that when you're a victim, that's when the devil could really, really, really trick you, poison you, and think that what's wrong is right, right? And it's happening to women, and it's happening to men. It's happening in our schools, it's happening in our government and our politics and so forth and so on, where the devil has made us think that we're all victims and that there is an enemy. And it's our brother and sister. Love others as you would love yourself is that, you know, we all want the same things. Peace, love, harmony. What if we started there? The problem I have with Fresh and Fit and Mr. Samuels is that, you know, we cannot keep doing this alone. I want to meet my future wife, whatever, and she has to recognize me as a potential. I have to recognize her as a potential. But how do we get there if we have all these messages in our mind? Oh, this person is bad. Da, 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 da. So as much as we want to come down on Fresh and Fits and guys in the master, there's women with huge platforms too that's talking really bad about black men. And I think Kevin Samuels, you know, Fresh and Fit, you know what they'll do? They'll be like, oh, but look at them. They're saying this. Oh, but we can't get away. And then it justifies it. When Doves Cry, one of all-time favorite songs ever. You know, when he says, you know, maybe I'm like my mother, maybe I'm like my father, you know, he's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry. When he made that song, it echoed a generation's cry, because at that time, the divorce rate was going up, the early 80s. Now, those early 80 babies, they started having kids like in the 90s and the 2000s, right? That is this generation. We are witnessing a forgotten generation of men, right? Just like how gangs started in the 70s or, you know, and so forth and so on, a group of men are going to the internet to find their manhood, to learn how to be men.
Wow.
Where marriage is not even an option anymore. It's either I can have a baby anytime I want to, with whomever I want to, when I want to, how I want to, so forth and so on. And a father in the house, oh, that's optional. A mother, I can have like 5 baby mamas. That standard of family is lost. You know what I'm saying? And we got to get back to that because we have another generation.
I think the way I look at it is children out of wedlock. When we talk about things like women, quote unquote, being ratchet, I think these are much more socioeconomic reflectors and cultural reflectors of certain socioeconomic groups and less racial indicators. meaning that I've met radical white feminists that are just toxic to be around. And a lot of that stuff you talk about, I've heard pretty wild stuff from leftist white women. And I honestly haven't gathered a lot of it from black folks, because black folks tend to be more socially conservative. From my experience, it's obviously anecdotal, right? The part that frustrates me, there's a difference between socioeconomics and culture, and then the overflow of that. If you look at the poverty line, whites and blacks do drugs at the same rate, but it's who tends to grow up in more impoverished areas, right? And so I think that's an overflow out of that, right? Crime, drugs, all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's the part that I go, wow, man, that's more culture, and that's more socioeconomics. That's less black and white and whatever, right? Frustrating part about some of the Kevin Samuels Fresh and Fit content is there's this desire for like traditional values without any type of traditional framework for a personal relationship with the creator, of understanding the Imago Dei, of understanding how a family's supposed to function. So you want all the benefits of being a Christian, a follower of Jesus, without any of the heart change. And so then demanding women to be more submissive, or demanding men to be more stable, better leaders, whatever. I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to squish a circle into a square. And like, well, why is this not working? Why is this not working? It's like, well, you're dealing with unregenerated people, and then you want women who don't know Jesus, who maybe have some issues with their fathers, or men in general, to submit to men who don't know Jesus, who don't know how to lead, right? And again, that word submission. Look, I don't ever have to tell my wife, you need to submit to me. That's not how that works. Just like I don't gotta tell anybody that I'm an alpha male. The folks with the most strength don't have to talk it up. The folks that can lead don't have to keep reminding you that they're leaders. The folks that are the strongest don't got to keep telling you that they're strongest. The folks that make the most amount of money don't got to keep showing how much money they make. So I think that's the part where that's frustrating. And again, all of that overflows from understanding what God's design is for our lives, from understanding what the function of a marriage is, of mothers and fathers is. That's some of the frustration. And so the broad generalization, specifically from the Fresh and Fit, they're just flippantly saying whatever comes to their mind. And it's like, you could do that, and it may make great for hot takes, and it may make great for getting women to, kicking women out of your podcast, but that comes with consequences that you don't know when those are going to come at you. And so that's the part where I'm just like,
we also live in a society where we try to escape responsibility and accountability as often as we can. We have measures in place to escape responsibility for certain things, right? Like people who could just go out there and randomly be intimate with as many people as they want and take pre-measures so that they don't have a baby or get an STD. And then once it happens, they have measures afterwards where they can legally, what they would like to consider as, terminate the pregnancy. Men can behave however way they want and say whatever they want, and still would expect women to submit. We're not going to really think and reflect on our behavior and say, well, maybe sometimes I'm not behaving in a way that makes my wife or the person I'm dating, right, willing to submit to me. And frankly, no woman that you're dating should be submitting to you in the first place if they're not your wife. That's just me. But on the flip side to that too, are women behaving in a way that would harness respect from a man as well? So I think that accountability is one of those things that we, in general, try to escape as much as possible. And as you said, CP, for us to escape that is to make us the victims and say, we did this because of that. Not, yeah, I own it. I did it.
And this goes into sin. We want to go for the pleasure instead of enduring the pain. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's hard to wait before marriage. It's hard to deal with your inner urges and your vices and so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that what we have to start preaching is consequences to actions. You mess with the wrong person, you know what I'm saying, something's going to happen to you and so forth and so on. You have unprotected sex, sex before marriage, everything has its consequences. And I think the thing is that people are not scared anymore of their consequences.
Tell everybody about your channels. I really do think CP's Kevin Samuels' video is really good. He took a different angle than I did in terms of some of my critique of Kevin Samuels, which I appreciated just how thoughtful that was. So guys, and then obviously Harrison Family Vlog, super dope channel. Tell everybody about your channels, where they can find you guys.
Yeah, Harrison Family Vlogs, channels about faith, family, fatherhood, and manhood. I try to give a biblical and a Christian spin. Yeah, and I try to have fun doing it too. So I go live usually on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, my channel is CP the Artist on YouTube. My channel is basically about art, life, and relationships, right? Where I talk about art because I'm an artist, obviously, relationships and life, current events, so forth and so on. And I'm a Nick fan, so I might throw some Nick fan,
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
I love it.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Yo, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Check out the links in the description for some free resources, including a free Master My Devo course to get you more clarity, context, consistency in your devotional time, and a free Master My Habits course that I just put together with my therapist, Dr. Rudy, as well as a free niche training if you're looking to get into the Christian creator space. And we have some amazing additional videos recommended from me and YouTube to you. All right?